So if you are writing strategic case study, it is very important you understand the structure of the examination, what you have to do, and how you position yourself to pass the examination. In this video, I am going to be sharing with you what you need to take into consideration and, most importantly, how you utilize the Preseen. Now, your strategic case study examination is always going to be starting with the Preseen. Now, the Preseen is the case study that the examiner is going to be presenting to you for the ICAG 2 weeks before the examination. The idea is for you to have an understanding of the case study and, most importantly, gather some knowledge about the industry so you can go to the exam hall. Now, when you go to the exam hall, the Preseen plus an additional information will be there, and then you're going to be having questions spreading across for 100 marks, out of which you are going to be marked. And so the question is, how do you strategize yourself and how do you actually pass the examination? One of the things that you need to understand is that the case study examination is one of the papers with the lowest pass rate. The reason is because of a couple of things that I want to get into. Number one, many students do not understand the material. In other words, they don't understand the content of the strategic case study syllabus. For the most part, people are just on defense. They sit down throughout the period. They are not going to be serious. They are not going to study anything. However, they are waiting for the Preseen. So when the Preseen comes, that is where they start doing all manner of things. But that is not how you pass the case study examination. And so in this video, I am going to be going through a document issued by the ACCA. So it's a public document which will guide us on how you can actually put yourself in the position so you can pass the examination. So the first question we ask ourselves is, what is the aim of the Preseen? So the Preseen that will be given to us, what's the aim of it? Very simple. The main aim of the Preseen is to enable you become familiar with the business activities of the case study organization and the industry in which it operates before the exam session. That is the aim, for you to become familiar with the business activities and the industry that the entity is in. That's the main objective here. Remember, this is a fictitious organization. It means that although you can find traits of the case in a real organization, or there's a real entity that may look like what is presented in the case, you have to focus on the case. And so that is the main aim of the Preseen. So what is the structure of the Preseen? So if the main aim of the Preseen is to help us to familiarize ourselves with the organization's activity and all activities, and also have an understanding of the industry, what is the structure of the Preseen? There are two issues generally that ACCA provides guidelines on. First one is the industry information. So the case study will give us some information about the industry that they are in. You should familiarize yourself with the information provided in the Preseen, even if you are already familiar with the industry. This is because for the purpose of the exam, certain facts about the industry may be simplified. So yes, industry information. It could be a manufacturing company. There are a lot of things happening in the manufacturing industry. It could be a company in a hospitality industry. There are a lot of things happening in the hospitality industry, but the context of the question will give us something that is going on within the industry. Number two, the organizational information. The organization in the Preseen is fictitious and will not represent a real organization. The specific information provided will vary depending on what is appropriate for each examination. So that is the second thing, organizational information, and that is going to be about 90% of the entire Preseen story that we are going to be receiving, organizational information. So what do you do with that information? Yes, it is important for you to have an understanding of what is going on within the company, what is going on within the organization, what is going on in the industry. Now, you can research a little bit so that you understand the terminologies, the nature of activities in that particular industry, so you have an understanding of it. But you have to be careful not to go way outside the context of the case study. Because again, like I told you earlier, yes, there will be information given to us in respect of an industry. Yes, you may know what is going on in that particular industry, but for the purpose of the exam, certain things would have to be simplified. So your extra research or your further research on the industry is for you to understand the various terminologies used in that industry, the various activities used in that industry, for you to just understand the nature of what goes on in that industry, and not necessarily understanding everything within the industry, as the case study will be contextualized, will be simplified for the purpose of the examination. So once you receive your Preseen, ACCA suggests a couple of things that you have to avoid. So what to avoid doing with your Preseen? So the following are some of the things you want to avoid doing with your Preseen. Number one, avoid extensive additional research into the industry. I've just told you this. Number two, avoid speculating on areas of the syllabus that will be examined based on the Preseen. This is where many students have problem. They are looking at, oh, okay, so what will come in the exam hall? What will come in the exam hall? Oh, Nhyira, do you think the examiner will ask this? Oh, Nhyira, I think the examiner will ask a question about this. Oh, okay, Nhyira, because of the nature of the case, I am convinced that the examiner will ask about this. You have to avoid speculating and focus on the material, because it's about the material. You see, the trap here is this. Case study is case study, and it will have various questions that could be asked. Issues under governance. There are a lot of things about governance that the examiner can ask you. A lot. Symptoms of poor corporate governance codes. Even the examiner can be specific. Either the OECD governance code, or the Ghana's corporate governance code, or the UK governance code, or the Commonwealth governance code. Issues about the roles of the board chairman and the CEO, the role of non-executive directors, structure of the board, the role of the various committees of the board. So when it comes to corporate governance, there are a lot of things that the examiner can ask you. So stop speculating and understand the material, understand the structure of the syllabus. Don't speculate. Because many people go to the strategic case study examination and they are disappointed. Why? Because they speculated, they thought that, oh, this is going to come, or somebody might have told them this is going to come, only for them to go to the exam hall and holy cow, that thing is not there, but something has been asked which is in the syllabus. Something has been asked which is in strategic case study, but now they find themselves wanting. So avoid speculating. 3, avoid using the Preseen as the main source of material for answering the exam tasks. Why? Because in the exam hall, you're going to have the additional information coming in. And so this is why strategic case study is even technical, it's even challenging. Why? Because you see, in the Preseen, you might have read something, you might have drawn a certain conclusion. Then when you go to the exam hall, the additional information is going to be brought, and the additional information will actually bring in a different thing that overrides a certain conclusion you had reached or a certain assumption that you had made based on the Preseen. And so when you are now answering your question, you have to be careful that you are not relying solely on the Preseen, but you are using both the additional information and the Preseen for you to reach a solid conclusion so you can write the answer that is required for the question. Number 4, avoid reading the Preseen for the first time just before the exam session. So certainly, like I said, it's going to be 2 weeks before the exams. So you have to familiarize yourself. You have to go through the Preseen. And for all those of you who are busier than the President of the United States of America, or you are busier than the President of Ukraine, you have to make sure that you read the case. Don't be a last minute person reading analysis, because there are some people, sometimes I just can't take it, because there are people, documents, 200-page documents, analysis of case study. Hey, that is what I'm reading. That is what I'm reading. It is good to read 200-page analysis of the Preseen. But the question you have to ask yourself is, do I understand the information? Do I understand the industry? Do I understand, most importantly, the content in the syllabus? Do I understand that? Because the exam is not going to be based on someone's analysis. It's going to be based on what is in the syllabus. It's going to be based on the objective that the examiner is seeking to achieve. And so you have to spend time to read the case study. And this is something that I'm on my students all the time. And I'm like, hey, listen, don't expect me to come to class and come and do analysis for you. No. Don't expect me to come to class and tell you, this is what is going to come in, this is what is going to come, this is what is going to come. Don't expect me to do that. I want you to do two things. Number one, understand the material. From the models coming to strategy. So from strategic design, strategic implementation, coming to the finance perspective, coming to governance, change management, understand the syllabus. That's the first thing. I don't care. I can't do analysis for you. I don't want to speculate. I cannot do that. But you have to understand the syllabus, the material. Then number two, you have to understand the case study itself. What is going on in the case study? What am I supposed to know about in the context of this case study? Then when you go to the exam hall, the additional information is going to be added. Then that is going to help you. Then the question will be posted, or you will be asked the questions. Then you can answer the questions. So you have to really familiarize yourself with the Preseen and familiarize yourself with the structure of the syllabus. That is very important. So avoid reading the Preseen the first time just before the exam, because when that happens, you are really going to be in a deep hole and you're likely to really mess it up in the exam hall. Next one. Avoid spending too much time on the Preseen at the expense of revising areas of the syllabus and completing practice mock examinations. I've already said this. So in the 2 weeks that the Preseen comes, all people are doing is, hey, oh, this lecturer has done some analysis. Oh, hey, this lecturer has done some analysis. Oh, hey, this is analysis coming from this lecturer. Charlie, they say this lecturer, he's the, boss of, or she's the head of whatever the heck. I remember there was a time, a student who was doing strategic case study. The Preseen came, we discussed, I've gone through the syllabus with them. We have had lengthy discussions, and he sent me a message later on with a list of some questions, claiming that, someone who is part of the examination committee came and taught, and the person said, these are the questions they are supposed to be focusing on. I'm like, what the heck? I'm not going to discuss any of these questions with you. Go read the book, revise, make sure you understand the things we've discussed in class, familiarize yourself with the case study, and go into the exam hall. I am not going to spend my time solving any questions that somebody has put down for you. And this student was very angry. He was really angry. He left out the WhatsApp group. He sent a message that I can't read to you, but he was really angry because he was thinking that I was denying him his success. They went to the exam hall, and the questions that came, not even one of the questions that he wanted me to discuss was in the exam hall. So it was after the examination, I think after the exam, it was a week later, Then my phone rang, only for me to see it was him. Then I was like, this guy left our group, sent a certain message. So the phone rang, I didn't pick for the first time. Then it rang again for the second time, then I picked. Then here he was apologizing, saying that he was sorry for disrespecting and, behaving in the manner that he behaved because he was, led by the fact that the person speaking or where the questions came from, it was a top source. And so that is why. And I said, okay, that's fine. He failed the exam. Okay, he failed the exam that semester. The following semester, he sat for it, did the right thing, and he passed. So that is what I want you to do. Revise, revise, revise. Spend your time to understand the structure of the syllabus. Spend your time to go through the question kit in the ICAG question kit. It helps you to revise. Read a case study, have some understanding, but the main thing is go through the syllabus and make sure you understand the structure of the syllabus very well. Then certainly the last one is avoid question tipping and spotting, which is what I just illustrated to you with a student's issue. Avoid questions tipping and spotting. It's not going to be best. It's not going to be best. Okay. So again, you see, I am not here to say you should disrespect somebody when the person says, oh, these are some questions based on the case study, and so you can go through these questions and these questions will come in the exam hall, or the examiner can ask you these questions, so go through them. It's okay, you can do that. But what I want you to do is don't, like we say here in Ghana, like apo. Don't take that as God. Don't take that as the final say. Don't take that as, hey, this is coming, so I'm going to kill myself on this. May I suggest to you, you're going to fail the exam. Why? Because you see, the examiner has his objective for each examination date. The examiner has the objective of how he intends to set questions in each examination date to ensure that by the time that the syllabus expired, a lot of things have been discussed. About 90-95% of the syllabus had been truly examined, and that helps in future development of the subject and the exam. So these are the things you must understand about the strategic case study examination, and most importantly, how you utilize the Preseen. So number one, avoid extensive additional research. Number two, avoid speculating on areas of the syllabus that will be examined based on the Preseen. Number three, avoid using the Preseen as the main source of material for answering the exam questions. 4, avoid reading the Preseen for the first time just before the exam session. 5, avoid spending too much time on the Preseen at the expense of revising areas of the syllabus. And 6, avoid question tipping and spotting. I believe that if you take these into consideration and see the strategic case study examination like corporate reporting, like advanced taxation, like advanced audit and assurance, these papers will require you that you finish the syllabus, you go through the syllabus. If you can apply that same mindset to the case study and identify and know that it's not about the Preseen like that, it's about me going through the syllabus, covering about 95% of the syllabus. That is how I can pass the exam. If you can apply that mindset, I can guarantee you, you will position yourself to pass the examination. So if you want to pass strategic case study, I believe these are some of the things that you need to do. Like I said, this is a document shared by the ACCA that I wanted to bring to your knowledge and discuss with you so that you can prepare yourself, go to the exam hall, and most importantly, pass the examination. Let me hear from you in the comment section. Any questions you have for me on the strategic case study or any other thing that you would want me to touch on, leave them in the comment section. I'll be really excited to answer the questions that you have in the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.